Hey, what's up, guys? It's me here, back at it again. Um, yeah, of course, right as I hit the record button, someone starts up a lawnmower outside, so I really do hope that you can't hear that. But how typical, to be honest, how typical, you know? I bet you there's just like a little drone up in the sky, and it's like, oh, take it's recording. All right, turn on the lawnmowers. Okay, start up the jackhammers. Oh, take it's recording. All right, time to get to grinding. Yeah, I just figured it's been a little while since I've uploaded. I figured I probably needed to. Because, well, it's me. I don't know if I think it might be a bad idea, to be honest, but I'm gonna take it anyway because I ain't no bitch. But yeah, so I just wanted to do like another live commentary. I guess it's actually quite early morning for me. It's about, yeah, I can't bother to tell the time. So yeah, I just figured, I'd fucking do a live commentary, because I gotta upload. I can't leave you guys hanging for so long and just not upload anything. I don't have really too much in particular to talk about today. I figured I figured there's one or two things I can talk about, of course. I can definitely find something, but I didn't prepare anything in advance because, frankly, preparing for stuff in advance, that's just a bitch move. That's just a little bitch move, if you ask me. So, we had the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight about a few days ago, and I'm surprised that anybody is surprised. To be honest, I'm very surprised that anybody is surprised how that turned out. Like, I don't know about you, but that was exactly how I saw it come out. Honestly, he definitely didn't win, but can I just say that Logan Paul going for 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather is pretty impressive. He definitely didn't win, okay? It was pretty obviously Mayweather that won. He landed so many more hits than Jake Paul did. I mean, not Jake Paul, sorry, Logan Paul. Sorry, they're about as annoying as each other, so that's why I keep getting confused. Yeah, he landed about as many hits as about half as many hits as Floyd Mayweather did. But it still stands that he lasted a full 8 rounds against, like one of the best fighters in the world. That, no matter how you paint it, that's fucking impressive, okay? He didn't win, alright? Anybody who says he won is delusional, e.g. Jake Paul. But he did really fucking well, if you ask me. He did extremely well. I am actually quite impressed by how well he did, I think it was impressive. Because, again, full 8 rounds against one of the best fighters in the world, and he didn't get KO'd. That has to earn, like some credit. Now, was there a winner? Obviously not. There wasn't a winner. There was never going to be a winner. Unless someone got knocked out, and he didn't. you know. So I wasn't really expecting a winner. I didn't pay for it. Fuck no. I didn't pay for it. I just went on to Twitter, googled Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather, and hey, look, there was like a whole bunch of clips there. Easy peasy. And yeah, like, you could tell that Floyd Mayweather was basically just toying with him for the first few rounds. You know, just like gassing him out. And then he just really started putting the pound into him on like the, after a couple of rounds. Just really putting the pound into him. Oops, no, you two need to stay over here. Get Carl Franz in there. Okay, awesome. Oh, and he's running. Double awesome. And, you know, I mean, if you think about it, alright, the only thing that really cost Floyd Mayweather was a bit of his reputation, alright? All it cost him was a bit of his reputation, and in return, he was looking at a payout of approximately $100 million. Because he had, like, I think it was like, what, like $500,000 guaranteed, plus 50% of the pay-per-views. And there was a lot of pay-per-views, can I just say. There was a lot of pay-per-views. So you can imagine how much bank that he probably made out of it. The answer, of course, is a lot. Just a god-awful amount. That was a horrible charge. And Logan Paul, I believe it was estimated, made about $20 million, which, you know, 100 million versus 20 million, sure, there's a difference, but if you know anybody who's seen like $100 million in their life, they're already probably in the vast minority there. So, respect the hustle. You know, don't know what else to tell you there, other than respect the hustle. Because, goddamn, that's a hustle right there. That's a serious hustle, if you ask me. Oh, yeah, they just shattered. Gotta run down as many as possible. You know. Yeah, and so if you're thinking about it, right? Floyd Mayweather spends a little bit of his reputation for 100 million buckaroos. Now, would you classify that as worth it? Would you spend some of your reputation, admittedly very well-earned reputation, for 100 million buckaroos? Because you can take my whole fucking reputation for 100 million, honestly. Just take the whole thing. I don't need it anymore. Give me 100 million. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. And, like, when you look at it, right, You can say, yeah, sure, Logan Paul spent the whole time hugging Floyd Mayweather, but frankly, not a bad strategy, because if you think about it, if he punches at Mayweather and then just goes in for a hug straight away, then Mayweather's not going to get time to respond, you know. And so Logan Paul threw about twice as many punches as Mayweather did, but Mayweather landed about double the number of punches that Logan did. And each one of those punches is going to be hurting like a motherfucker, right? So logically, if you're trying to avoid those punches, and the best way of doing that is, you know, by having a little bit of a broski hug, then fuck it. Like, again, you're getting paid $20 million. If you can save a few extra brain cells, because God knows he needs to save every brain cell he's got, then would you not do that? Would you not do that? I would. You know? I would get socked in the face a few times for $20 million. Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at a bit of permanent brain damage, but that was long since the case when he was dropped as a child. Because, I mean, I'm just saying, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks it, and I doubt I'm going to be the last either. So, if that is what it costs to get $20 million. I mean, if you think about it, okay, $20 million, right? Let's just say you have $20 million, right? Fuck it. First of all, buy a house. It's about what? Oh, look, it's 20 million US, right? Is also another thing. So 20 million US dollars, you're looking at about, what's that? About 26 million Australian, all right? First of all, buy a house, all right? That right there, that is building your net worth. That's building assets. That's always going to be valuable, because buying a house now means you're not going to have to buy a house later. Obviously, he's already got a house. I'm more just talking about if an ordinary person was to receive that much money, you know? So, you know, like, buy a house. First of all, it's about, say, like $800,000. That's a pretty nice house, I might add. That's a pretty respectable house in a pretty respectable suburb in, like, Brisbane, Melbourne. Not really Sydney, but Adelaide probably could get a pretty nice one for that much too. And that leaves you with, say, $25 million. All right, let's just say you're really safe. All right. Let's just assume that you invest that 25 million, okay? So, first of all, you want to keep probably, say, 3 million. All right, say you keep 3 million in cash, okay? Because you're not going to be working anymore. You're not going to work anymore, realistically. You can totally avoid working if you make $20 million. It's just a matter of what you spend it on, okay? Then, I'd put about 5 million of that into real estate. You can get a lot of fucking houses for $5 million. That's a significant amount of real estate. Real estate typically provides around a 8 to 10% return, assuming you have constant tenancy, which is the downside. Is that you have to have constant tenancy, which isn't always the case. But assuming you do, okay, that's about 10% return. So you're looking at around 500k a year there. Next, all right, you've got $15 million left, right? Okay, so I would put about 10 million of that in a low-cost index fund. That you're looking at around 8 to 10% returns as well, very consistent. And obviously that can go up and go down. You know, but you're looking at another, you know, around 8 to 10%. So let's just say about 10%, then take away a bit. So how much did I say? 10 million? All right, so you're looking at about 900k a year in returns there. Then the rest of the money I would probably put between. Alright, so with the index fund, I'd probably wouldn't put quite that much in. I'd probably put about 40% of what you've got left into the index fund. Another 20% in low cap companies. Another 20% in high cap companies. And then I would put the remaining 20% into short and long term bonds. Sort of pretty similar to the Golden Butterfly portfolio, but a little more aggressive, I would say. That might not necessarily be a good idea because there is predictions that our economy could take a hit in the near future. So maybe not that aggressive. You could probably even it out a little bit more. But I would definitely be putting at least some of that into, index funds, into real estate. And because you've got so much money, realistically, you're not going to need to manage that real estate by yourself. So I would suggest, just getting a property manager. You're looking at about 3 to 4% in, what do you call it? About 3 to 4% of your pre-spent income. So the total income of the property, you're looking at about 3 to 4% of it for a real estate agent. And in return, you can pretty much completely ignore those properties and just let them earn themselves. You'd barely even need to do anything for them in order for them to be making your money. You could always look at obviously refinancing if that's a viable option. You could look at just investing more into property afterwards. It just depends on the market. Because I would say currently the real estate market is very strong. You're looking at, I believe, even ignoring rental income, capital gains on those assets, you're looking at, I think it averaged about 8% last year. I think the total retail value increase of the housing market was about 8%. Where I think it was like 5% or 5.6% in Brisbane. It was about 8% in Sydney, I think. And then you're going all the way up to approximately 10% if you're looking at somewhere like Hobart. And so 10% on top of the fact that you're also getting, so that's capital gains, but that doesn't actually include the extra you're getting from asset value increasing. Because obviously you're most likely doing it on a fixed interest repayment based off of a certain amount of, that the property was assessed at. So if the property is worth 10% more, you're still going to be paying the same amount unless you refinance it, which may still be a good idea because that would give you more direct value in order to invest in another property. So say, for example, your property is worth like 400k initially, then it becomes worth 600k. You can refinance it for the 600k, and you can essentially take out some of, you essentially get you can refinance it for 600,000. And you get an additional $200,000, which you can use to put into another house. That's probably like a 25% down payment on yet another one. And so you'd just be continuously growing the portfolio. Look, I'm not an expert on it, realistically. If you really want to look at something like that, I would suggest watching someone like Graham Stefan. He's really good. Or Meet Kevin. They're both really, really smart people. And they make a lot of content on YouTube. I would always recommend looking at them. Graham Stefan in particular, I love watching his videos. They're always, very educational. And he probably does a lot better job of explaining everything than I do. So keep that in mind too. He's definitely a lot better at it. Because he's been doing it for a long time. And he's got, I believe he said he had like $20 million, or I think it was like $10 to $20 million portfolio of real estate. And that doesn't include his investments in that, because he also invests into index funds and stuff like that. Again, very successfully, I might add. But more than just that, he's also very wise with his money. He doesn't spend it on things unnecessarily. He's a millionaire, right? Okay. And when you think of millionaires, you think of people flashing fancy cars, Rolexes, all that bullshit. And he's like, yeah. So when I was when I hit my $1 million of net wealth, I went to happy hours, all you can eat sushi. That's what he did, because that's not expensive. It's affordable and it's fucking good too. Well, at least, I mean, I'm not a big fan of sushi, but he is, and that's the important part, It's a meal that he can enjoy. Pardon me, sorry. And so, every morning he has the same breakfast, right? And it costs him less than $1. He makes iced coffee every morning, 40 cents. He doesn't buy $6, $6 of fucking iced coffee every morning. And he does explain about how this could make you money. Regarding, say for example, you save this much on coffee every year, well, this could turn into $1.2 million if you are constantly investing in it. And I do think that, I don't really think that's like the best example to make, because, I mean, when you talk like that to somebody, especially like a millennial, that they're not going to take it well, because, they're like, oh, woe is me, I could be, if I don't spend $60 on coffee, I could be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. And it's like, well, no, that's not really how that works. It's over 50 years, it's not a quick thing. It happens over 50 years, and they don't seem to understand just how it works. Because if, saying if you don't eat avocado toast, you can become a millionaire, it's a bit of a dumbass. It's kind of what's the word? Condescending, I guess you could call it. It's very condescending to say. And see, the thing is that as long as you're, everybody has things that they take enjoyment in, Say, for example, if you like eating nice food, well, that's fine. Or just be frugal in your life and use the extra money you have left over in order to indulge in those nice things. So, if one of those nice things is having a $5 cup of coffee every morning, then if you save money in other departments, then you can afford that, okay? You can afford that, provided you're saving money, in other means, like, for example, cutting back on eating out other times, No one's gonna tell, no one's gonna say, no one with the best of intentions is going to say, you're an idiot, you're doing this wrong, stop, okay? They're just showing you that there's a potential, alright? This is an alternative to what you're currently doing. Now, if you want to drink that coffee, be my guest. I'm not going to tell you not to. If that's something that you enjoy, it is your money at the end of the day. What they're simply showing you is an alternative to how you could be spending it. You don't have to drink $6 coffee every morning, But if that is part of your enjoyment, then that's okay. If that is something that you take personal enjoyment in, then that's okay. It's more just a case of, don't complain about being broke if you don't know how to handle your money in the first place. If you don't know how to save, that's not a valid reason to complain about being broke. Now, I'm not necessarily saying being broke is a symptom of bad money management, but if you're living at home, you're not paying rent or anything, your parents are living comfortably, and you have a job and you're still not saving money, then that is sort of, that's when starts to be an issue, because, I mean, especially if you're living in America, there's nothing wrong with not having a lot of money. That's not when I say there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just that that's not necessarily your fault, because the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, as I'm sure you've probably heard many times before, is medical debt. That's not an expense you can avoid, okay? You can't not get cancer, you know, you can't choose, I think I'm not going to catch cancer today, you know? That's not how that works. But if you're spending $6 a day on coffee that you don't need, okay, as well as, you know, like, say, $72 on cupcakes. I am referencing something there in case you're wondering. That's not a random number. I am referencing a particular video. If you're spending like $72 on cupcakes, then you're probably doing something wrong. And you can blame society, okay? You can blame, you know, school for not teaching you how to handle money. But realistically, it's not school's job to teach you how to save money. Alright, that is your parents' job. If your parents are bad with money, statistically, you will be bad with money as well. You know? Now, the cycle of poverty doesn't necessarily arise from someone being bad with money. Again, it can be, you know, it can be due to reasons out of your control, like, once again, medical debt. Medical debt is a serious problem in the United States, and anybody who says otherwise is joking themselves. But, you know, like, if you're making, like, $100K a year and still struggling to pay the bills, that's when something is up, you know? Like, you're probably wasting money that you don't need to. You probably don't know how to invest that money. You know, like, for example, even before I got a proper job again, I was still investing small bits of money. I wasn't investing a lot because obviously, you know, like, I don't have a job at the moment, so I don't have too many funds to spare. But I was still trying to invest a little bits of money, you know, in order to financially stabilize myself for the future. And people don't understand how that works. Now, it is also a fair statement that the market isn't as optimistic for us as our parents or their parents. You know, historically, baby boomers got the best results on their return on investment than any other generation. You know, so you can't expect to be investing as well as your parents because statistically you can't. Although right now the market is fucking great. I will say I've gotten about 10% returns in 6 months, which is fucking crazy. That's a lot of money if you ask me. You know, like, it's very, very, very good now, but it's not going to be like that forever. And that's something that you just have to be prepared for. Like, we will not receive the same level of returns on our investments as our parents did. And any boomer who tells you otherwise is an idiot and most likely not an economist either, okay? Because this isn't my words, alright? This is straight from, I think it was the Journal of Economics. Because I have a passing interest in that sort of thing. You know, it's just, I'm also going to lose this, by the way. You know, it's just something I have a passing interest in. And, you know, any boomer who's saying, oh, you're not making money because you're just not working hard enough. Well, first of all, if people don't know how to manage their money, it's their parents' fault. Okay, you know, let me write that. So it's your fault. Well, it depends on how old your parents are. It they could be Generation Boomer. They could be Generation Y. I think. Just depends. I think what Boomer cutoff is like 1965. I want to say 1964. Yeah. So those people that's saying that, it's their fault in the first place that our generation sucks with money, because how are you supposed to learn if no one teaches you? It's not school's job to teach you how to save money. It is your parents' job, all right? Because my parents taught me how to save money. My parents taught me how to save money. My parents taught me how to budget. My parents taught me how to save up for things that I want to buy. My parents taught me that, you know, hard work does pay off. You know, that's why I got a job. Now, not everybody can work while they're at university. I would recommend you doing it. You know, but if you do devote yourself full time to your study, I think that is respectable. I think you are decreasing your chances of getting a job once you graduate university, because typically people with no job experience before they graduate university find it much harder to find positions and jobs because of the said lack of experience. But I'm not going to blame you for it, because you know, university is a lot of hard work, particularly if you're doing something like medicine or law, you know, like, or engineering. It is very difficult. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. You know, it's a difficult subject. And some of them, you know, I would not be surprised if people needed to not work to be able to do well in them, you know, especially if you're aiming for like 7s. If you're just aiming for like 4s and 5s, which isn't really a good idea, but it's, you know, you can definitely work. If all you're getting is 4s and 5s, you can definitely have a part-time job. 100%. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're only aiming for like passing, you can have a part-time job. If you're aiming for 7s, it's a different story. It's much more work. So I can understand why you wouldn't. But again, unless you're participating in other, at least, extracurricular activities, if all you're doing at university is studying, then you're going to be very disappointed about what happens when you come out on the other side. When you go to university, okay, you need to do a number of things. And this is something really important that I feel like every university student should know before they start university, all right? First of all right, let me just say, you do not have to, people should not feel forced to go to university if they don't know what they're going to do, all right? Being a tradesman, going to TAFE is a perfectly acceptable alternative. And anybody who tells you that it's not is a fucking idiot, all right? Do not feel forced to go to university. I 100% would recommend you to finish high school. You should always finish high school. It's just so much easier on you if you do. But don't feel forced to go to university. If you want to go into a TAFE or something, that is perfectly okay. In fact, tradesmen, like plumbers, electricians, they can make a lot of money doing what they do. So keep that in mind. But if you go to university, there's a few important things that you should be aware of. First of all, realistically, if you can, you do want to get a job, all right? I'm not saying you have to, but it's highly recommended. People, you know, recruiters will always look for people with previous job experience, because it shows that they're already aware of, you know, how to behave at work. It shows you they're already aware of what work is like. They obviously have some sort of time, you know, ability to manage time, and so they'll be much more likely to pick you. The second thing I recommend is getting involved in extracurriculars, especially if your grades aren't great. If your grades aren't great, I would 100% recommend getting into some extracurriculars, especially if it's something related to what you want to do. So, say for example, I'm in the motorsports club. If you want to be an engineer, join the motorsports club, or, you know, like something like that, because it shows, you know, because motorsport teaches you things as an engineer that you're never going to learn in your degree, and you're only ever going to learn once you're out into the workplace. Hell, if you're doing business, join a club, you know, like join motorsports, because there's plenty of business side about it as well. In fact, I actually have the most fun in the business side. So I would always recommend getting involved with extracurriculars, because it does look great in your resume, and it also is practical too, okay? It's good that it looks great in your resume, but if it's not practical, obviously it's not the best, you know, opportunity. It's you know, like, who gives a shit if it looks good in your resume? Obviously the recruiter does, but more than that, it's also practical for you. It teaches you things that you won't learn otherwise. And the third thing I would recommend doing is network, okay? If you can network enough and you have reasonably decent grades, if you play it really well, you can guarantee yourself a job before you even graduate. And that right there is the creme de la creme. Guaranteeing yourself a job before you even graduate. That is like peak university performance right there. Look, I've ranted on long enough, and I have to go to the toilet, so I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you guys have enjoyed this little live commentary / rant. I probably will be making more of them in the future, maybe on related topics, maybe not. But I will see you all next time. Peace.